race fans, and welcome back to the Metro Ford Cup Series, presented by the Old Bachelors Racing League. Today we're at Dover International Speedway. We're going to go 200 laps around the Monster Mile. And as always, my name's James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting and bringing the action 1080p 60 frames a second. And I'm accompanied by the world-famous Englishman, Finley Fitzsimmons, joining me in the booth. Finley, first time out here for the Metro Ford Cup Series. You had the chance to listen on the drivers' meeting, kind of feel out the drivers a little bit. And what are you expecting coming into tonight, and what's your first impressions here?
Well, definitely, it's a very lively league, to say the least. Definitely going to be seeing a lot of aggressive racing as well. It's definitely going to be a great one to commentate and watch. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Obviously with no fast repairs as well, on top of the already strict safety kind of regulations in this league. People are definitely going to have to mind their aggressiveness, I suppose, a little bit.
Yeah, 100%, especially with just a 7 incident point limit that these drivers are allocated. And at a track such as Dover, I would think, and you've got more experience in a car than I do, I would think that's going to be a pretty tough feat in itself, because drivers are going to be out here battling the track over the long runs that are kind of the norm here at the Metro Ford Cup Series, in addition to having, 20, 25 drivers out on track to also contend with. So I don't know how that 7 incident point's going to come into play, but I think it's going to be tight for a few of the guys.
It's definitely be tight as well, especially coming out later on, at least in the run, where those car cells get tighter and tighter. It's so easy to overdrive the car, on exit of 2 and 4. That wall just comes up on you so quickly. It's definitely something, especially when you're right behind someone in single file, you could miss. And I definitely think it could definitely play a factor with all the 2Xs or people going into the wall and causing big pileups. I think it's definitely going to have to be something all these drivers are thinking of in the back of their heads.
Yeah, going to be very interesting. Right now, we're watching Tom Ogle in the White Claw Seltzer back number 11 Ford Mustang. But it is Dwayne MacArthur, the fast Canadian, sitting on pole in the 83 machine. Now, I'm looking at the stats here. I don't believe MacArthur has been able to put it on pole position so far this season. But we got to keep an eye out for guys such as Ogle, as well as Robinson and Gear, who are getting ready to go out on track. Those are guys that very consistently qualify up towards the front as they wait for the cloud cover to come out a little bit more before making something happen. We're focused on Dean Gear getting ready to go out for his fastest lap. Robinson also in pit road. He's going to be somebody to keep an eye out on, as he's waiting very late in qualifying for his run.
Yeah, it's definitely very late. We've got 1 minute left of qualifying here, so these drivers will be lucky to get a lap in, including their out lap here. So it looks like they're going to have to definitely put a lot of effort into this first lap and hope they hook it together. Watching the 23 now of the Micro Centre-back Ford machine, as he's coming now out of the final corner to start his final qualifying lap here.
Yeah, Robinson's first qualifying lap. This will be his first time lap, and a driver that's consistently putting it on top of pole, leading the Ride the Pole award here at the Metro Ford Cup Series. I'm curious. I mean, he's pretty much just got one lap to try and make something happen as he charges through 3 and 4. I don't know if Robinson's going to get a second lap.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very tight. As you can see, he went high there coming to 3 and 4, so it looks like this is going to be his fast lap. Going to have to see whether or not he'll be able to make it or not, but it's definitely going to be tight for sure. He's now coming down the backstretch into turn 3. Let's see if he can put a little pole on the ball, getting loose there on turn 3.
Yeah.
Losing the back end out of 4, so that's his lap finished.
Look at that. Dwayne MacArthur for the first time this season starting on pole, the Canadian, putting it up top. This is going to be a good one. Things are already getting shaken up from what we've seen in the past. And let's run it through the grid here tonight to see where our favorite drivers are going to be starting at. Starting on pole, Dwayne MacArthur, the number 83 machine. Jason Higginbotham starting second in the 44. Eddie Cajun Jones starts third. Kevin Strandberg starting fourth. We've got Tom Ogle starting fifth. Let's see who else we've got. We've got Dan Hill, current Rookie of the Year points leader. He's going to be starting 6th. Brian Lindsay starting 7th. Josh Robinson starts 8th. Michael Watts 9th on the grid. Steve Thompson starting 10th. Don Hinchcliffe starting 11th. We've got Lloyd Moore starting 12th. Greg McDaniel starting 13th. Lee Warsdale 14th on the grid. Al Turner starting 15th. Michael Dow starting 16th. Robert Garisco starting 17th. Dean Gear 18th on the grid. Jeff Light starting 19th. Larry Corey starting 20th. Andrew Hess in the number 54 machine starts 21st. Ken Huff starting 22nd. Chris Clark starting 23rd, Dakota Pischke 24th, and it's going to be Jack Miller rounding out the field starting 25th. Now Finley, Clark, and Miller in the 109 and the 108. Two new drivers here at the Metro Ford Cup Series with those triple-digit numbers. That's going to signify that, hey, you're new here, and you will not be able to qualify. So those are going to be two brand new drivers to the series we should keep an eye out on, because for better or worse, our rookie drivers usually provide some great entertainment for the race.
Yeah, 100%, especially starting at the back as well. They're going to be out of the way of those drivers ahead. Maybe if they collide, they can still be for a good result here. So obviously in for a lot of aggressive racing. Dover being quite a instant-ridden track. They're definitely not written out.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to watch here at the Metro Ford Cup Series is the new guys kind of coming to grips with everything out on track, getting a little bit more familiar with everyone. And it's going to be interesting as you see Watts in the 84 machine quickly pull over since he's got that EOL penalty as we roll him out here for the start of the Metro Ford Cup Series event at Dover. I'm excited, Philly. I'm not quite sure what we're going to see, and what's kind of your expectations of the opening laps? Do you think guys are going to settle into a groove, or are we going to see some big moves early on and possibly some of those incident points expended early tonight?
I think it's a 200-lap race, and the drivers know that, so they may try and keep their car clean, and just for the first couple laps at least, fall into that groove in single line and just ride the race out. I think definitely later on in the race we'll see some aggressive moves, but I hope for the love of, I guess, how long this race is going to be. I think all the drivers want to stay green as long as possible here. As the pace car goes down pit road for the beginning of this race here today at Dover. The number 83 is your man on the restart. He's controlling it now, coming out of turn 4. We go green here at Dover International Speedway. 83 of MacArthur getting a brilliant start there on that inside, pulling a nice gap to the number 44 as it looks like 14 of Jason Higginbotham on that inside groove, also jumping the number 44 on the high side.
Yeah, that's Jones, number 14 machine, quickly picking up a spot just ahead of Tom Ogle's number 11. Ogle with a great start as well in the White Claw back forward. He's up 2 positions so far early on into 3rd. But keep an eye out as well for Robinson, the number 23 machine. Had a uncharacteristic poor qualifying tonight, but I think he's somebody you're going to want to keep an eye out. As these guys, really anybody inside the top 10 has been fast all season long, as it looks like the field's starting to break down into single file formation early. MacArthur with a 3/10 advantage over his good friend Jones, the number 14 machine. Ogle rounding out the top 3. As, oh, here we go, Finley, already. The caution is out. It looks like it may be Warsdale involved in that one. Yes, he's parked the wrong way. And Michael Watts also showed involved. Let's take a quick look at the replay and see what just happened.
So it looks like the 99 just came down the 28 there, just hitting that wall and spinning right up into the track. Hefty hit onto that wall there and straight into the run of other drivers. Looks like, oh.
That's Watts in the 84 with the EOL. He's on his roof, careening around, and a hard hit for him. So that's going to be several drivers out very early tonight. Their Sunday plans, I think, just opened up, Finley.
Oh, yeah, it's so early on in the race. They're going to be down laps. However, it depends how long those repairs are, but he's definitely going to be at least about 5 or 6 laps down. But judging, we already got a caution on lap 3. I definitely wouldn't rule out the chance of more cautions.
We're on board with Michael Watts taking a tumble. That is not the right way you want to be looking at the track here at Dover early on. And again, with no fast repairs, I fear that Warsdale and Watts, I think, are going to be most likely done and out of this one. Robert Garisco comes down pit road for an extended stay as well. Looks like Hess, Gear, Lydon, Clark, Corey, all down pit road. But here at the Metro Ford Cup Series, although there is no fast repairs, a very low incident limit, there is unlimited tires. So even though we're only just a few short laps in before we see the yellow flag, I think there's going to be a couple drivers already diving down pit road with no damage, taking 4 fresh Goodyears, and maybe planning on some long green flag runs. But I think for certain Watson and Warsdale, I'm going to bet heavily on that, are going to be done and out of it. And it looks like Robert Garisco, the number 28 machine, he's also going to be on pit road for an extended stay, trying to get that machine hammered back into shape.
Yes, we're just going through the cautions now, all rounding out turn number 4. It looks like we may be going 2 to green or 1 to green this time by, so we're going to get going very shortly on lap 5 here of 200 of the Metro 4 Cup Series here to Dover tonight. So we're just watching number 83 of Dwayne MacArthur rolling around with that Bass Props. Bass Props? Wow. Bass Pro
close.
Shops
That
back
was very
number 83
close.
machine. Very close, very close.
Yeah, MacArthur's got to be feeling good here. His first time on pole so far this season. Now, he's got quite a few wins underneath his belt. 3 wins coming in today's main event. And I'm going to check. Yes, he's also the current points leader. He's 40 points ahead of Josh Robinson in second. Robinson, number 23 machine. He's going to be starting on that 3rd row next to the 58 of Strandberg. But this could be a good points night for MacArthur. I didn't have the opportunity to talk to him before the race. Normally kind of lets me know what he's feeling good about, what he's a little apprehensive about. So I didn't hear anything negative coming into today's race, so MacArthur may be feeling good here, but there's some short track pros out on attendance. Jones has always been fast. Ogle always quick on technical raceways. Higginbotham, he can absolutely feel that 44 Chevy on tracks such as Martinsville or Bristol where things get a little bit more exciting. So gonna be intriguing to see, but that's also gonna depend as well for these drivers to show their stuff if we get long green flag runs, or it could be a day of cautions. Is not a solid start for our drivers, but we're gonna get ready for that iRacing safety car to make its way down pit road as MacArthur and Jones on that front spot. They're gonna be teammates getting ready to set the field while Ogle and Higginbotham right behind them. We wait for the green flag. And it is out. Away goes MacArthur, accompanied by Jones. Ogle and Higginbotham in hot pursuit. And we're going to try and get a couple of green flag laps in here, Finley.
Yeah, it looks like the 83 didn't get as good of a start there as he did on the previous restart. However, he is still ahead by a little bit by Eddie Jones and number 14 machines. He slots in behind, back into single file once again, coming out of turn 4 to round out lap number 7. Of 200 as
it's going to be a long 200, my friend.
Going to be a long 200 for sure. Showing that Michael Dow there and the number 7 machine is caught up again.
For Dow, no, the number 60, I believe.
Oh!
What just happened? Is Dow also running the wrong number, I think? It looks like that was Lloyd Moore also involved in that one. Let's try that one once more. Yeah, Dow in the 26 Gatorade machine, Moore in the 26 Wonder Bread machine. So Moore is on the inside right of your screen, gets a little bit loose, careens back up the track, and then Michael Dow gets absolutely clobbered, as I think Lloyd Moore also maybe hit the incident limit. He kind of disappeared from the track there, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did. Definitely Michael Dow is, yeah, there's nothing much he could have done about that, and he's definitely out for the count once again. So that's more drivers out of the race already on lap 9 of 200 here for the second caution of the night. Thinking back now on what I said, it's definitely going to be a long one. I think the aggressive racing is definitely coming into play here.
Yeah, for certain. I mean, Michael Watts, he sent it back to the virtual hauler. Lloyd Moore, we believe, is disqualified for hitting the incident limit, but you've also got Michael Dow, Robert Grisco, Lee Warsdell in pit road for extended vacation. This is a rough one for the boys out here tonight. Now, I guess the one saving grace we're going to have getting these cautions out of the way early is we've already sent a fair amount of drivers back home for the evening, done and out for the event. And it looks to me like the more drivers that are kind of getting whittled away here, the cleaner things could, I can't emphasize that enough, could go later on. And look at this, we've also got Craig Lowen, the Aussie, joining us tonight in the spectator area. We've got Mason with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. He's cheering me on, saying I need a coffee or two. And he's also cheering on Finley Fitzsimmons, our guest commentator here for the Metro Ford Cup Series. Well, Finley, it's our second caution of the night. We're going to get them re-racked again with MacArthur and Jones on the front row. Ogle, Higginbotham still on your second row. Strandberg and Robinson on your third row. Are things going to clean up here as we have these early spree of cautions getting an average 3-4 laps before the yellow comes out? Or do you think it's going to be rough as drivers continue bouncing around the raceway?
I think as more drivers start to get taken out of the race, I think definitely there's less cars to crash. So you'd think that we would get, yeah, I definitely think, yeah, as these drivers start to whittle away, we may get some better green flag runs. But I think for now, these drivers are definitely thinking about making their extra pit stop now, whilst they're under caution, or the next one.
Yeah, and the other thing as well, we always talk about each and every show, cautions tend to breed cautions. Now, a large portion of the field, I'd say about 14 drivers out of, I believe, the 20 still out on track, are still on their original set of tires. And to be fair, the guys that came down pit road have only come in on, 4 or 5 lap older tires, or I guess they'll have newer tires at this point, but I don't know if that's going to affect the restart paces too much, but if you do later on in the run have some guys on newer tires trying to cut back through the field, only going to make things a little bit worse out here.
Yeah, definitely. 5 laps fresher tyres, especially on a track like Dover, which just eats those tyres. It's definitely going to be a big advantage later on in the run if we can get some green flag running here. But definitely with a lot of drivers whittling away, the drivers definitely got to be thinking that maybe we might get some green flag runs in here. So maybe you want to pit under this caution, or if there is one afterwards, to get that free pit stop out of the way and essentially be a pit stop ahead of the people in front of them.
Yeah, I think that would be a smart decision for a lot of these drives. As we get ready to send them back out under green, look at this. Jeff Miller, the newcomer in the 108 Ford Mustang, he is up 14 positions. Again, the triple-digit drivers unable to qualify due to the safety regulations here at the Metro Ford Cup Series, and he's already starting to cut his way up into the field and looking good for a possible top 10 here.
Yeah, already up 14 spots from where he began in P12 now as he just falls back 1 spot. He's definitely sizing up for a good result here. So it looks like once again Dwayne MacArthur in the number 83 machine getting a great start there, keeping that P1 position.
Yeah, Robinson starting to crawl through the standings as well. He's up 3 spots, now running 5th, trying to chase down Higginbotham in the 44 machine. He sees his teammate Ogle in the bright pink Ford, just a car ahead of him. As it looks like Chris Clark has come down pit road. Not sure if he had problem. Another rookie driver in the 109. And looks to me like we're seeing a little bit more single file action here. I'm wondering if race control had a word for these drivers saying, all right, that's 2 cautions in 10 laps. We got to get it together here. And it looks to me, I don't want to hit it with the old commentator's curse, but it looks like that's what's happening as Tom Ogle sets the fastest lap of the race in 3rd.
Yes, we're just watching Tom Ogle now. He's setting the quickest lap for 23.53 seconds here today. He's running in 3rd place only behind the 14 machine of Eddie Jones. You can see his teammate once again in his mirror behind the number 44. So definitely going to maybe play some team tactics here and try and spread it down to the long run.
That's going to be Robinson, the 23 machine, will be teammates with Ogle in the bright pink number 11. So Robinson and Ogle in the past have really linked up nose and tail, especially on bigger, and I want to say less technical tracks to try and put those team standings up a little bit higher. But speaking of teams, MacArthur running 1st, Jones running 2nd. Both teammates with last-ditch racing as it looks like they're building up a little bit of a gap here over Ogle. Focusing the camera over on Jones, who's up 1 spot in the number 14 machine. He's about a half second behind his teammate MacArthur, but looks to be gaining some ground over Ogle. Now at this point, this is where the racecraft could start coming into play. If drivers start sensing we're going to have a long green flag run, they may be a little bit less apt to push it here and maybe try and start playing the tire saving game if we can go green. I believe, and Finley, correct me if I'm wrong on this, I think our fuel window is going to open up around lap 100 after we were in such heavy eye-pacing conditions early on. Maybe lap 90 to 100 is I think when we're expecting green flag stops. If, and it's a big if, we can get to that point.
Yeah, it's a massive if we can run green up until that point. But yeah, we're looking 80 to 90 laps if there are full green flag running, but definitely with those cautions, definitely may extend that pit.
Jeff Miller, the rookie in the 108.
Oh, as we were saying, gaining so many positions there, getting loose out of 4.
Look at the form, though.
Oh,
Oh, never mind. So Miller sends it careening around. I believe that's coming out of 4. And he takes a tow back to pit road. So unfortunately, the rookie driver we were speaking so highly of, able to avoid bringing out a caution, but not the entrance he was looking for here tonight.
definitely not. He may have hit him with a commentator's curse inadvertently there. I'm sorry, Miller.
Yeah, we get him every time. So back up front, MacArthur leading the charge with Jones in tow. I believe we'll already be approaching traffic here, trying to see who that was ahead of him. I think that may have been Chris Clark in the 109. I'm not entirely sure, as Clark is down a couple laps with a green flag stop. I'm wondering if there's some sort of penalty applied there to the 109. Now, an interesting fact to our viewers at home, the Metro Ford Cup Series very good on self-policing. If you are involved in an incident that does not necessarily bring out a caution, you are to serve a self-imposed penalty, a stop and go. So, not sure if that's what happened to Clark in the 109, but regardless, a green flag stop on lap 12, not what he was looking for tonight.
You know what he was looking for with that green flag stop. That just put him so far down the order now. About to be lapped again by our leaders. They make it round turn 3 and 4 now. Already on lap 22 of 200. I hope we can go green for a little bit longer so I can get out of this commentator's booth as soon as possible.
Yeah, you gotta.
Not that I'm not having fun.
Yeah, you gotta fly back home after this one now. But
Yeah.
so MacArthur clicking off laps. I'm fairly certain that's Chris Clark. Yes, it is in the 109 machine. He's about 3-4 laps down here from your race leader. Now, lap traffic has been instructed to go high here at Dover, as it looks to me like the top 6 drivers quite a healthy breakaway. They're about 2 seconds ahead of Dan Hill running 7th in the number 10 machine. And we may be able to get that green flag running. We saw Jeff Miller in the 108 return back out on track after his early incident, but he quickly dived back to pit road, so I'm wondering if he's got more damage on that Ford that's just not quite what he was looking for, and not sure if he's going to call it a night here or try and get some more repairs done on the 108.
Yeah, especially without being a caution, though, he's going to go so many laps down with that damage. I think he definitely will park it up, and that'll be the end of his day. Very unfortunate, because he was running so well up until that point. Yeah, I suppose that's racing.
Now, I'm curious to see as well. I don't think all is lost for Chris Clark in the 109, the other rookie driver we have out there who's looking to go another lap down as the leader's charge. I mean, based from how this started this evening, I would say there's a fairly good chance to get a few more cautions, get those lucky dogs if you can keep it clean, and get back out there and try and battle. But hey, I guess the good part here as well for Clark, if it's your first race, however you finish is a career best, and he is up 4 spots from where he qualified as Robert Garisco limps it along the inside line, the number 28 machine. He was in his pit stall for 14 minutes before coming back out on track and quickly dives back down pit road. I think the number 28 may also be somebody that maybe has a little bit too much damage on that machine to keep things going.
Yeah, most certainly. As you said before, Chris Clark being the furthest forward lap down car, he is the current lucky dog candidate as things stand. So if there are more cautions tonight, he may stand a chance of getting back onto that lead lap. But as we said before, he is still up 4 positions from where he qualified. So it's definitely all not on gun, because it definitely will be, well, being his first race, his best career finish. But yeah, so far it's not looking too bad for him. It might fix up later on. However, no, he is being chased now by our current leader of Graham MacArthur. He didn't seem to be getting out the way so far. May let him go into turn 1 and 2 here. As you said before, James, lap cars have been instructed to go high, as he does there, letting off the throttle and letting our leaders pass now, as he goes 1 extra lap down here on lap 30 of 200.
Yeah, the biggest
Looks like
thing,
they had a
I
bit
think,
of a breakaway pack for him.
yeah,
go on.
no, you're fine. They're absolutely checking out. That's the top 6. MacArthur, Jones, Ogle, Higginbotham, Thompson, Robinson, all in a nice, tidy pack, running 1st through 6th, 2 seconds ahead of their nearest competition. That'll be John Hinchcliffe running 7th as Dan Hill's falling down the running order slightly. And kind of circling back to lap traffic, yes, traffic has been instructed to hold the high line here at Dover, but I think the biggest thing these drivers, especially these rookie drivers coming out of the Metro Ford Cup Series for the first time can do is just be consistent. The biggest thing they can do is hold their line, keep doing what they're doing, because MacArthur running behind, he had 3, 4, 5 laps to see what the rookie driver was doing and what he was doing consistently over the course of the track. The last thing you want to do with the lead pack barreling behind you is get off and try something different, because A, the leaders aren't expecting it, and B, you haven't been running that line yet. That could be a little bit more gnarly for you, and that's the last thing you want to do. Is you don't ever want to crash, but you definitely don't want to crash in front of the lead pack while you're on TV.
No, that is definitely lots of what you'd want, especially for your first race as well. You'll make sure you keep that clean and not get that bad rep for being someone who crashes within the league. However, though, we have that breakaway pack from 1 till 6. However, John Hinchcliffe has been able to gain around about 3/10 on that gap. So maybe, just maybe, he'll be able to close that gap back and join the lead pack once again.
Yeah, surprisingly with how tight things are up front. 34 laps in. It looks like Higginbotham has just the slightest breakaway from Thompson, the number 67 machine. Thompson up 5 spots, now running 5th, but he's running a very limited schedule here so far this season. Real life taking him away from the virtual track, if you will, and kind of surprised to see Robinson taking his time as well. Historically, these are drivers we've seen willing to push it early on to get up front, so you think we could maybe be seeing fuel strategy early on this evening?
Definitely. I definitely think because of the 23 maybe holding back just a little bit. Because he is sticking with that lead pack, so he is definitely still in the play. Or still in the game for that win. Or at least close to it. So definitely saving fuel at the back of the pack will definitely help him further on in that stint. And able to stretch that run just a little bit longer. So it looks like we have a lap car there on the outside. I'm not quite sure who that is.
I think maybe Jeff Lydon in the number 39 machine running 18th, hopping out of the way of traffic there, and he's going to tuck in behind Robinson and maybe see what the fast guys are doing, because he's got a little bit of damage on that right side, kissing the wall early on, and I think that's going to be something that happens a little bit more often throughout the run as well. As the cars start to tighten up, they're going to naturally, as you said right in the intro tonight, they're going to want to push wide at a 2 and 4, and the worst thing drivers can do is try and wrench that wheel down overcorrect, because if it snaps loose on these next-gen Cup cars, it's very, very tough to chase them around a track, much less a tight track such as Dover.
Yeah, 100%. The car can definitely just snap underneath you and just go at a moment's notice. Especially with that wall coming close as well, it can catch you off guard if you're not paying attention. Especially when you're on the bumper of someone, you might even see it coming. And if they go into the wall, you're just a train, and everyone will hit the wall. So you definitely got to keep your head on and not fall asleep.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, the wall here at Dover tends to kind of grab you. If you get into it, your natural reaction is to wrench it away, get off the wall. But you and I have both experienced that in the car before, where you grab that wheel, the wall keeps you glued, and next thing you know, you're bouncing back into traffic. And that's kind of what makes things so exciting and white knuckle as well for your race leaders. As we've got another incident, but no caution, as Robert Garisco tied up in something, number 28.
Yes, have a look at that. Looks like he's trying to go down pit road. Miss pit entry.
Just pull over, and that's exactly what he does.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he ran out of fuel or couldn't make another lap or what, but...
Yeah, he was about 18 laps down. He was on lap 12 when he finally took a tow, so I'm wondering if maybe the engine that's all she had, let the magic smoke out. Gonna call it a day here, as we're not even a quarter way through of today's main event, and we have very quickly whittled it down to 16 drivers on the lead lap. We're gonna pull up live timing tower to the left side of your screen to see where your favorite driver's at. And as I said that as well, let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on out there across the world, as the drivers will very frequently listen to these broadcasts during the race, and if not, they just about always go back and watch it, and they can definitely see the chat on who's cheering them on out here. They'll let us know as the two teammates of MacArthur and Jones still continuously charging towards the front and not having any problems with it so far this evening.
Yeah, they're running very, very well together. They're not making any moves, and they're just trying to push away and get a little bit of a gap to ogle behind the 11 car. Because the more gap they can have, the more free play they can have in their strategy. Or just lay off the throttle a little bit, do some more tyre saving or fuel saving to help them out later on in the run.
Now, speaking of that, Finley, MacArthur and Jones, their fastest laps were about mid 23-second lap times. They're running about 23.9s very consistently now, so 4 or 5 tenths off their personal best. 50 laps, or just about 50 laps in. Do you think these guys are saving tires? Because the lap times, to me, doesn't show it. Or does that just mean they've been saving maybe the whole time here?
I don't know. Looks like no one else has got a lap much faster than that. So I think that's just the pace this race is going. Maybe they're not saving too much tyres and they're just going for it. Maybe they think there's going to be another caution soon and just push those tyres as long as they'll go to gain that gap. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know what to expect, especially after talking to the drivers and saying there's so many lines to run, so many different ways to attack the corners here at Dover. Some guys on the brakes, some guys lifting, but you're going to punctuate that green flag run. Who was that on the inside line we saw limping down the pit road?
I am not quite sure.
I think it was Miller.
Yeah, it was Jeff Miller. In number 108 machine.
Oh!
Hitting that outside wall as he comes down onto the apron, but I think it was too late as the caution does come out, unfortunately.
This can make things interesting, so we're going to pretty much re-rack them here. It'll be about lap 50, 51 before we set them out, and I think you're going to see every single driver in the field come down pit road. There's no reason not to take tires at this point.
Oh yeah, it's an absolute no-brainer, especially nearing a quarter-way point in this race. It must be a no-brainer to pit whether they take 2 tires, just the outsides, and a full tank of gas. We'll have to wait and see as all of our drivers make it down pit road. As I say that, Andrew Hess, the only driver, I stand corrected, there's a couple more drivers choosing to stay out. So it looks to be Andrew Hess in the number 54 machine, now up 20 spots from where he began, choosing not to pit this time by. Also followed by Larry Corey and Jeff Lydon. Yeah, the absolute mad lad. Going for that alternate strategy, I suppose, in number 54 machine. Maybe he has a plan. Maybe he's going to pit this time by. We'll have to wait and see about that one. However, he is currently leading. So maybe he wanted that track position to play another strategy. That looks like he's staying out once again. Oh, yes, I stand corrected. That was the pit.
I don't think he's coming in on this one. So yeah, Hess trying something different. He's going to be on 44 lap older tires. I'm wondering if the 54 may be banking on another very quick caution here after we restack the field. But we've seen some crazy stuff, or at least I've seen some crazy stuff out of Hess before. He's probably one of the few drivers I consistently look to each and every broadcast where I'm covering his action and think, all right, if there's going to be somebody that tries something just off the wall on strategy, which as he comes down pit road, I have no idea what he's doing.
Yeah. We thought he was going to play the alternate strategy game, but it looks like he's just pitting now instead. He's going to give up all those positions that he could have gained because he realised, he's getting to the point where I'm going to have to do a green flag stop and everyone else doesn't. And that's not something you want to do, especially on a shorter track like this, because you will go a lap down. So, he's using the caution as an opportunity to take that pit stop now. As it looks like Dwayne MacArthur still our leader here today, followed by Eddie Jones and Jason Higginbotham. Steve Thompson, Josh Robinson is your top 5 here tonight. As we're still under pacing conditions here, as we hit the quarter-way point of lap 50 of 200 with the 3rd caution of the night.
Now, Finley, I just realized something. I wonder if Andrew Hess was picking up a bonus point for leading 1 or more laps. That would be worth it to me, especially if you're halfway in the points and not having the night you're looking for. Wait for the rest of the field to cycle, pick up an easy point, and then kind of start back where you would be.
Yeah, definitely. That would give him the extra bonus points. That would just help him so much in that point standing and just help boost that points tally. It's yeah, thinking about it, that's quite a smart way to do it because he wasn't going to lose a whole lot of positions by doing it anyway. So that was definitely the right strategy call by him. As it looks like we'll be going 1 to green this time by, I believe, as the drivers are going back into 2 by 2 formation.
Yeah, we've got John Hastings joining us in the spectator area as well. He's confirming, yep, leading a lead lap. Say that 4 times fast. Getting that bonus point scored. So good to see both fans and the broadcasters on the same page tonight as we get them stacked up 2 wide and about 10 rows deep with our remaining drivers. 17 drivers still on the lead lap. It's MacArthur and Jones, your front row. Steve Thompson, Jason Higginbotham, your second row. Robinson and Strandberg, your third row. Look at Thompson moving on up, as well as Dakota Pischke. Pischke, the number 1 machine, our current hard charger. He is up 14 positions so far tonight. Pace car will be coming in this time by through 3 and 4. Now let's fire them back off. We are a quarter of the way through today's main event. And I'm not sure what's going to happen here, Finley. You've got drivers with much looser and freer race cars underneath them. And the field stacked all back up together. If there's ever a recipe for some carnage, this could be it.
This definitely could be it. Hopefully we can get another good green flag run. The 83 once again will be controlling the restart on that inside line. Will he be able to get as good of a start as he did the last 2 times we had a restart? So coming down now onto the main straightaway. As the green flag flies here at Dover, he doesn't have a brilliant start, the 14, holding it on the outside line. However, I think the low line does have a better run coming into turn 1, as he does. Taking that first spot once again, leading the pack out of turn 2 into turn 3. The teammates of Eddie Jones and Dwayne MacArthur working at it once again.
And Finley, since you're helping us out here tonight, the first time here at the Metro Ford Cup Series, a good talking point as well. Steve the Mule Thompson in the 67 Toyota Camry running third. He is also with Last Ditch Racing. Oh, and just as we say that, what just happened to Thompson as he has absolutely obliterated himself on the wall there? What was that?
Yeah, I think he just got loose out of turn 2 there. As I was talking about before, he maybe saw that wall coming. Yeah, he definitely had to jerk the steering wheel to the left, I think. Oh no. He just got loose and led the track there.
I don't know if that was a hardware issue, but he just slammed the wall.
Yeah, that was a really hefty hit there. There's definitely going to be some damage that needs to be fixed there as he now goes a lap down. As Josh Robinson is now taking that third spot away. However, he is over a second behind, so he's not going to have that draft to help him. Although it isn't much of a factor at Dover, definitely a reassuring factor to stay within a second of the car ahead.
Yeah, I think MacArthur and Jones, after seeing Thompson with that massive moment, I still don't know what happened. I'm not sure if Thompson got loose there with fresh tires, but it didn't look like he was really chasing it down the track. And just next thing we know, violently pitched to the left and just absolutely drilled the wall. But Thompson in pit road, he's going to try and get some repairs done, and we're going to have another caution come out. As I believe,
yeah, it looks like.
Turner?
Yeah, that's the number 76 of Al Turner involved in that one. He's down on the apron on the low line entering turn 3 there.
Well,
let's see what happened in that one.
Same deal, just getting loose coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, and he just spins.
Ogle as well, able to get through that one, dodging the 76 machine. And Turner does a good job getting off the track as quick as he can as well.
Yeah, no one got collected in that one, so good job by drivers. Yeah, good job avoiding the spinning car of Al Turner, as he just sits there on the low line waiting for the cars to pass.
Once again, the yellow flag is out. The iRacing safety car getting some hot laps here at Dover. And this has been a rough one for the Metro Ford Cup Series here tonight. We've seen some big crashes, some drivers that aren't normally expected to be in the shenanigans going home early. And now, Finley, we've got different strategy coming into play. Your top 9 drivers opt to stay out. Behind them, you've got about 5, 6 guys maybe trying a different strategy here and coming down pit road for some fresh good gears.
Yeah, it looks like everyone from P10 to P16 have chosen to come down pit road here tonight, as they'll be taking fresh tyres now, taking the opportunity of that caution to not lose any positions and get that fresh rubber under them, see if they can make anything happen. Obviously, with those fresher tyres now, around about 10 laps fresher, definitely be able to use that to their advantage. Maybe not as earlier on in the stint, but later on, if we get a good green flag run, that could definitely play a massive part in the strategy in tonight's race.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. See, now I'm not quite sure what happened to Ogle, the number 11 machine. He's dropped all the way back to 7th. I don't think that was just from the caution stop here, but we'll take a look at that, see if we can figure that one out for you.
As we have a look now, Ken Huff in the number 46 Chevrolet bag machine seems to be up into P9, up 13 spots from where he began. He's now our new hard charger here tonight at Dover International Speedway. He's definitely making his way up and yeah, definitely fighting hard earlier on in this race.
Yeah, surprised just how rough it's been for the guys here tonight. Last week at Talladega, we ran 111 laps. We had 23 different lead changes with 11 different leaders over the course of the main event. And only 3 cautions at the Super Speedway. Meanwhile, we come out to Dover, we're only 60 laps in, just over a quarter of the way through, and our 4th caution of the night. So, not quite sure what it is, if it's the track, maybe the tempers. But it is definitely a rough one for the guys out here tonight, as we've sacrificed a whole lot of body work early on. And out of the 25 drivers that entered this evening, only 17 remain on the lead lap. And I believe the 19 still out on track.
Yeah, we've lost quite a lot of cars already, nearly 10 cars in this race, I believe. Or maybe not that much, but definitely a sizable amount. As these drivers start to drop out of the running, that may help us have that green flag run, as we did. I'm not quite sure how many laps it was, but we had a great run coming out of, I believe it was lap 20 something, I want to say. But yeah, we definitely had a great green flag run going on there. As the drivers are now going too wide for the one green.
Yeah, the field.
Turn 3, the pace car will be making it way down into pit road in the second here. We have a team.
The field rapidly dwindling here, Finley.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Steve Thompson sends it back to the virtual hauler. Robert Garisco out. Lloyd Moore, Michael Dow, Lee Warsdale, Michael Watts, all out for the evening. Look at this. The 2 rookie drivers, Chris Clark and Jeff Miller, though, after getting those race machines just absolutely obliterated out here, still out on track, still taking notes from the faster drivers as we go green flag racing once more. MacArthur and Jones still in the front row, getting chased by Robinson and Strandberg. Looks like Robinson gonna hold on to 3rd. Jones once again tucking in behind his teammate. But keep an eye out further back in the field. Jason Higginbotham now running 9th. He's one of those drivers that came in a lap 57, taking 4 fresh tires once more. And if, and my oh my, is it a big if here, if we can go green, I think that'll really pay off well, as the next fuel window should be around lap 140 to 160, depending on what strategy these guys are on. And I would like to think the more the field gets, I don't want to say eliminated, but no longer able to compete at pace, I would think that's where we're going to start seeing more green flag runs. But what are your thoughts?
Definitely with the drivers, yeah, making their way out of the race. There's less drivers to collide and more likely to have those green flag runs. We're on lap 63 of 200 here. So it looks like the drivers are already spreading out quite a little bit. Number 83 of MacArthur once again edging that gap to his teammate. He's kind of out there alone.
And setting the
himself
fastest
right now
lap of the
coming into
race with
two.
a 23.36 on just about 20 lap old tires.
Yeah, he's already got himself a 1.2 second gap there to his teammate Eddie Jones. It looks like the number 58 of Strandberg is able, or was trying to make some moves, as the 23 now goes down the inside of Eddie Jones. Josh Robinson on the inside line, making it work.
Now what's going to be the move from Robinson, number 23 for Mustang? Is he going to dig deep here and try and whittle away at the 1.2 second gap of MacArthur? Or is he going to take it easy? Now he's got clean air on the front of that Ford, and the car is going to be a little bit more free, a little bit less tight than it would be in the dirty air. And maybe already go into fuel tire saving mode. He knows he's got a comfortable gap over Ogle in the number 11 machine, who's worked his way back up to 8th with fresher tires. That'll be his closest ally, I believe, for Robinson. His teammate just about 5 spots back, but MacArthur, I don't think he's showing any signs of slowing down here, as he's still a full second ahead of Robinson.
Yeah, Robinson setting a lap around about 0.2 quicker than MacArthur that time by. However, I think MacArthur is pushing a little bit hard on those tyres. I think Robinson knows that as long as he holds on to his tyres and does a little bit of fuel saving with that clean air you were just talking about, that'll definitely help him out longer in the stint. Because it's fine, we're only on lap 68 of 200. He doesn't need to be riding his bumper and making moves at this point in the race. He can definitely just sit back, relax, and ride the rest of this race out until around about 40 to 30 laps to go. Then he can think about maybe closing that gap, but for now, it's not the most of his worries.
Yeah, MacArthur not looks like he's worried either. Again, you're right, he's running a 10th to almost 10th and a half lower than Robinson. Robinson closing that gap to 3/4 of a second. I think MacArthur's in a good spot here. He gets to kind of set the pace over this fuel run. If he sees Robinson getting a little bit closer than he wants, he can get back down the loud pedal. And MacArthur, I think, has led just about every lap here, at least under green flag conditions in that 83 machine, and making it look easy. But Robinson, he has that one win so far this season, and I know for him and the 23 and the entire crew over there, it took a long time. Robinson was one of our most winningest drivers back in 2021, and it wasn't until round 9 at Bristol Dirt we saw the number 23 machine take the top spot for the first time. So I think he's going to be trying to get in a groove here, maybe make something happen and try and catch back up to your points leader, because right now first and second on track, also first and second for the point standings. I take that back, first, second, third on track, also first, second, third in the point standings. You are seeing in real time here what the championship looks like, with MacArthur out front, Robinson second, Jones in third. Now to find fourth place in points, you have to go back to 7th on track. That's Tom Ogle, but this is interesting. This could be a little bit of foreshadowing of the championship here.
Yeah, 100%. Now I'm thinking though, it looks like Eddie Jones behind is getting around the bumper of the 23. Maybe he's going to try and help out his teammate a little bit and slow the 23 down, because he knows the 23 is starting to catch MacArthur now. So he's maybe thinking about the team game a little bit and trying to prolong that move as long as he can. However though, it looks like Robinson has now been able to catch up to MacArthur, coming out of turn 4 now, lap 73 of 200. It looks like he's still pushing on those tyres just a little bit, because he isn't comfortable, I guess, with that gap, and he wants to make sure he's right on that bumper, or he wants to lead laps for those extra bonus points which will help him out in those standings. MacArthur still your leader for now though.
Yeah, a little column A, column B, and less than 0.8 of a second separating these top 4 drivers, as MacArthur running, really just about everybody running identical lap times that last time by. Robinson still has Jones linked up right on the tail of the 23 machine. Strandberg kind of watching the show. He's got a little bit of a gap sitting in 4th. But very shortly, MacArthur is going to have traffic to contend with, just blitzing off laps here. And to the credit of these top 4 drivers all linked up, they built over a 3-second advantage to John Hinchcliffe in the number 50 machine running 5th. So I think this is what we were talking about early on, the field getting a little bit more strung out. And then I'm a little surprised as well, Finley, those guys that came in lap 57 not charging as far forward as I thought they would.
No, most of those time, or most of the time, those drivers were, or excuse me, the drivers who have stayed out, they haven't gone that long under green on those tyres. Probably say maybe like 5 or 6 laps, because most of that was under caution. The tyre wear gap, I suppose, isn't quite as large as it would be if they all went green. As you can see there, our top 4 really closely, or top 4 is pretty closely bunched together, with that 3-second gap to Hinchcliffe behind. As they're now coming up to lap cars once again.
That's Miller, yes it is, in the 108. Beat the driver as there goes MacArthur up the inside line. Everybody inside the top 4 snakes on through. Miller, good job slowing it down there, knowing if you hit that corner on the same speed and try and carry the outside line, you may become acquainted with our good friend outside wall rather quickly. But luckily the top 4 are able to get through nice and clean through Miller. And I think that's going to be Clark just ahead of him next on the lapper list in the 109 machine. And this is always anxiety inducing for broadcasters and race leaders alike. Once you start slicing through traffic at pace, especially when you got a little freight train built up of 4 or 5 drivers, sometimes those guys running second, third, fourth don't see as clearly as your race leader, and it gets mighty exciting mighty quickly as the closing speeds look to be vastly different. I mean, we're talking 20, 30 miles an hour even at a short track such as Dover, and things can get out of hand rather quickly.
Yeah, for sure, especially when you're third and fourth car in line. It's just hard to see past that rear bumper of the car ahead of you. So if the lap car is staying on the same line, more so on super speedways more than anything, but they can definitely jump on you at the last second. You barely have any time to react, so you definitely got to be on top of it here. Coming on to lap 82 of 200. We're catching up that lap car you just talked about, James. Our top 4 pack pushing that gap further and further. 4 seconds the gap is now to Hinchcliffe behind. So I'm not sure if Hinchcliffe is thinking of the long game and shaving his tyres a little bit more, or the top 4 just have a massive pace advantage. So now catching up to the 109 machine. Coming into turn 1, will he go high this time by? No, he's not.
Yeah, I think these guys are picking off laps. Nobody in a major rush here. As we see Clark go wide here, race leader MacArthur, well done to the 109, hopping out of the way when the leaders got right on his tail. But man, oh man, things can get exciting rather quickly.
Yeah, we may see some curveballs being chucked in. At this point within the race, a lot could happen still with the 84 not even halfway through this 200 lap race here tonight. Anything can happen. Any cautions, any large instance could wipe out our leaders. And it could definitely turn the tables in terms of how the results may end.
Oh, how the turns table as Robinson has moved all the way up into second over his run. Again, didn't have the qualifying he wanted. Started 8th, but has worked his way into second. MacArthur, who qualified on top of pole, continues the charge out front. And Jones in third. We're looking to see maybe a strong finish here from Last Ditch Racing, the team that MacArthur and Jones are a part of, as Team Yada driver Robinson wants to throw his name back, looking for a second win of the season. Now I'm going to check here, but I'm fairly certain MacArthur, our most winningest driver of the season so far. Yes, that is correct. MacArthur has 3 wins to his names. Jones and Higginbotham both have 2 wins, while Robinson is looking for his second win of the season. Now, we think these drivers can stretch it out pretty far on fuel. We're expecting fuel window to open up between lap 1, let's say 135 and 145. But I wonder if maybe Robinson and Jones are going to be able to save a little bit more tucked in behind the 83 Bass Pro sponsored Chevrolet running out front. Or if maybe MacArthur's happy being where he's at with that cleaner air on the front.
Yeah, I definitely think though, because Robinson isn't going for a move here, he may be saving just a little bit of fuel, because we know he does have that pace advantage over him, at least at this point within the race. So yeah, he may be saving fuel, helping him later on in that long run. There's another lap car out high on turn 4.
Yeah, the top four snaking through there. Glad everybody got through nice and tidy. Still keeping that pack within 7/10 of each other. That gave MacArthur just a little bit of a breakaway, stretching his lead to a quarter of a second. Now I think Robinson, and yes, it's confirmed, closes the gap rather quickly to the fast Canadian out on track. But MacArthur, I think from this point on, if we run green, he's just going to spend most of the night having the pleasure of being the first driver to cut through traffic, as I think Huff and number 46 machine may be the next driver who's about to go a lap down here.
Yeah, he was running so well early on in this race, being our highest climber. However, he has fallen down the order just a little bit now. Yeah, but I lose that lap and go a lap down here tonight. Our front four still stretching that gap out even more. 4.4 seconds to gap now for our second pack, as it looks like he goes high. Touching the wall just a little bit there, taking a little bit too much speed maybe. Being a little bit too cautious. Or maybe go just a little bit hot into that corner, as it looks like Robinson's able to close that gap straight away, and he's right back onto the bumper of MacArthur.
Yeah, this is a tough spot for traffic to be into. You get used to hitting those same marks over 100 laps. You've got your preferred line, you've got the references built up for how fast you can carry in there. And then all of a sudden you find yourself trying something different to hop out of the way of the race leaders. And then all of a sudden, you know, those brake markers aren't the same. You're up higher on the track. The car carries a little bit more momentum toward the outside wall, and the more you stand on the brake, the more the car kind of wants to straighten up and almost veer right on you as it starts to really tighten up, and that can be a recipe for disaster if you're not used to running those alternative lines over the duration of an event. That's something these guys got to practice as well throughout the week. You know, when these guys aren't racing Metro Ford Cup Series, they've got an Argus Series, Truck Series, Xfinity Series. They're still out here burning practice laps together as a big dysfunctional family, and that's something the guys are focusing on, running those alternative lines. So when you are in that situation, you don't find yourself kind of lost in the sauce and crashing a car at the halfway mark.
Yeah. As it looks like now coming up to the 108 machine once again for another lap. As we're now on lap 95 of 200. Like you were talking about before though, with those cars getting tighter as they're longer on in the run, this is the time I would expect drivers to maybe caught out by that outside wall, the exit of not runway, I need to runway then, out of turn 2 and turn 4. As it can definitely creep up on you, and it's at this point, especially like you are Robinson in this case, right on the bumper of the 83, if he goes a little bit wide into that wall, you're just going to be led straight into it. Because you can't see ahead of him at this point, because that rear of that Chevrolet machine is all you see out of that front windscreen. So he's trusting a lot of,
I think if MacArthur goes wide, Robinson, I think Robinson will be apt to follow, just as you said, not able to see his reference marks. And now Finley, I know it's a little bit early, just about at the halfway mark, but is this not a perfect track to maybe see a front bumper come into play as we get closer to the end, especially with how tight these top 4 drivers currently are?
Especially with how tight they are, I definitely think Robinson does want this win, because he knows he is second in the driver standings, and finishing ahead of MacArthur would help him massively in that championship standings. He may resort to that, he may not. We have to wait and see how desperate he gets later on in the race. That is, if he doesn't get the move finished before then. However, the number 14, he's kind of in a bit of a sandwich with the 2 teammates. Not sure if they're going to play any team tactics later on in this race, maybe, to help MacArthur in the championship. However, Robinson will be trying as hard as he can, definitely, to get this win, to close that gap to the 83 in the championship.
Yeah, the top 4 still less than 8/10 separate them. Tom Ogle has moved back up into 5th after his lap 57 pit stop. So even though the tire savings, the tire extra grip, I guess I should say, not going to benefit the number 11 machine too much here, it may be well for him that he's going to be able to run about 9 laps longer on fuel compared to these top 4, and that could also change things up. We've seen races won or lost here on strategy at the Metro Ford Cup Series. And I've got to say, I'm very happy that we're getting this green flag run, because I'm looking for some green flag stops here tonight, Billy. That's one of my favorite things of calling about the Metro Ford Cup Series. It allows the drivers to show both their racetrack behind the wheel, as well as kind of their smarts, their strategy, their planning, as far as what it takes and how they develop those plans kind of under pressure during ever-changing conditions. As it looks to me, the top three, MacArthur, Robinson, Jones, putting a bit of a gap there on Strandberg in the 58.
Yeah, so it looks like that top three have now trying to break that gap. As Strandberg just falling behind. Maybe he wasn't saving his tyres just enough. As he begins to fall off from that front three packs. We're catching more lap cars now on lap 103 of 200. Strategy maybe starting to play a game a little here. Maybe these drivers are starting to think maybe we're going to have a massive green flag run here. With some of the drivers being whittled out of the standings. Or out of the running at least in this race. So maybe they're thinking about tyre saving, maybe they're thinking about fuel saving, or they're just going all the way, thinking there may be more cautions. It's all to do with, I guess experience would help a lot, especially with these rookie drivers. They may not know 100% what's going to happen or what to expect in these races, but the drivers with more experience in the series may be able to predict what's going to happen next, and they may know, or yeah, maybe the experience will play a part into this one.
Yeah, I agree. The top three starting to get that breakaway. We're expecting that fuel window to open for MacArthur, Robinson, Jones, Strandberg, your top four who have not been down pit road since lap 48. Expecting it to open. It'll close at, I want to say, about lap 140, 145 at the latest. As Dean Gear in the 92 Foxback race car, he goes to the high line. And that's a great example there of just how far behind Strandberg is from these top three. Robinson not letting MacArthur break away again. He's going to tuck in right behind and see what's going on. And what's also happening right now as well is a bit of fuel saving. Robinson's looking at the brake marks, how MacArthur's turning in around the racetrack, and he's gathering a whole lot of data on what the 83 machine's been consistently doing. And that could bode very well for Robinson later on in the run, especially if push comes to shove and he needs to be a little bit more forceful to try and get around MacArthur for a race lead. Now, right now, no big reason to start using that front bumper to start leaning on each other. But I think he's going to take a lot of notes here, and that's exactly what Jones is doing as well. These guys know what it takes to finish consistently up towards the front. I think right now we're seeing a little bit of fuel saving, just some hot lapping, and a little bit of strategizing going on amongst teams.
Yeah, I agree. He's definitely gathering those lines that he's taking and maybe use it to advantage later on in the race. You can just see on the exit of 3, on the exit of 4 and 2, excuse me, he's just taking a look down the insides. He looks like he's going to dive down the inside of the 83 of MacArthur, taking that lead. Looks like MacArthur's going to go for the switchback though, as they're too wide down the back stretch now. Looks like MacArthur on the inside line now, Robinson on the outside. Looks like Robinson's able to get a good exit though.
Yeah,
they're still
well
too
done.
wide going down the front stretch.
Robinson at the line by just 0.02 of a second. Their race leaders side by side through 1 and 2. I don't think anybody's told these drivers we're only 110 laps in as they start to charge for the lead. And as we go too wide, it looks like Jones and Strandberg have started to choke up as well. So Jones may try and link up to the back of his teammate MacArthur in the 83 machine and see if he can make it a 1-2 running order for last-ditch racing. But I'm very surprised how much speed that Robinson able to carry on the high line here. I was expecting him to have to kind of check up and what would worry about tagging that outside wall as the car is relatively tight at this point. But I think he's slowly gaining ground, and yes, he's going to get clear as your race leader.
Absolutely brilliant move from him on that outside line, making it work. However, using the outside line and pushing it on exit, maybe he's burned up those tyres a little bit and taking a couple more laps out of the life of those tyres, which may hurt him later on in the run if we keep going green into the green flag pit stops on that 130 to 45. Looks like these drivers are going to have to make one more stop regardless of what happens. But with that battling going on between Robinson and MacArthur, it looks like Strandberg's been able to catch back up into that top 4. As well as That's a lap down car, excuse me. But it looks like Robinson's been able to make a gap already to MacArthur. 5/10 the gap now as he stretches it.
This is interesting. I wonder if Robinson's going to put the hammer down, try and build up as much of a gap as he can, maybe put some traffic between himself and MacArthur before that fuel window opens. Now, if these guys come in anywhere after, I believe, lap 120, it's fairly safe to say they can make it all the way till the end on fuel, but this is very interesting to see the top four continuously changing up as the 76 machine goes high to let MacArthur through nice and easy. Jones and Stramberg following in hot pursuit, but Robinson, who's up 7 positions in the 23 machine, looking to get that second win of the season. Now, I'm not quite sure how the points are going to break down if Robinson finishes first and MacArthur finishes second. If that's going to put Robinson as your points leader, or just really close the gap here as far as the championship goes. But Robinson not having any issues, but one position he hasn't been in so far tonight. The number 23 machine for the first time will be the one cutting through traffic. We saw MacArthur able to do so very cleanly lap after lap. But now Robinson, he's kind of in the hot seat where it gets a little bit white knuckle, slicing through traffic once more. 11 drivers left on the lead lap here, Finley, 117 laps in.
Yeah, we've lost a sizable amount, more than half our field to that lap down. However, I think Robinson is stretching out that gap. 1.2 seconds it is now. He was only battling with MacArthur a couple laps ago, but he's already stretching that gap. So I think he knows that he can make it to the end pretty much from now on with the green flag pit stop. So maybe he's thinking he's going to stretch this now, or try and push as hard as he can on these tyres, get that gap, and then take that green flag pit stop.
Yeah, I think you're spot on here, because he's been on those tires for what? Just over 70 laps at this point, so he's approaching the end of the fuel run in the next 10 to 20 laps. He will have to come in for fuel, so he said, you know what, I paid for the good years, I'm going to use all the good years. And he's going to try and put as much traffic between himself and Jones, who's taken over second. Look at this development. Eddie Jones takes over the spot from MacArthur. And let's take a quick look at that pass for second.
Yeah, it just looks like MacArthur goes high, maybe letting his teammate by. Solly in straight behind the number 14 car. So now Jones is your second position driver. I was struggling for the words there for a minute.
Yeah.
As it looks like, yeah.
Go ahead, Finley, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say the front four is now being able to stretch the gap to 5.6 seconds to Tom Ogle behind leading the second pack. So it looks like these drivers on the front row are definitely got a, or the front group even, definitely got a great pace advantage. It looks like the lead, or at least the high positions, the good points paying positions are in the running for these top four drivers.
Now, I think Ogle's best chance is he rides around in 5th, as he came in 9 laps later under caution in the top 4. I think he's going to wait for those top 4 to come in for a green flag stop, stay out as long as he possibly can, and just hope and pray for a caution here. As he's so far back the running order as far as time goes, I don't think he's going to be able to catch up to those top 4 drivers unless a caution can either put him regrouped with this pack or maybe a lap ahead if the caution comes out while everybody else is under, or on pit road, I should say, because Robinson, 2.4 seconds ahead of Eddie Jones. He's absolutely flying here. He's a quarter of a second a lap faster than number 14 or the 83 of MacArthur. And Kevin Stramberg also hanging out inside the top 4 as well. And I'm shocked. I think Robinson must have been saving a whole lot in reserve here before he finally talked to his crew chief and said, you know what, hammer down these last 10, 15 laps before your fuel stop and let's see what we can do here. As now Eddie Jones comes down pit road.
Yeah, Eddie Jones choosing to make that pit stop as you shuffle down a little bit down the order, going down to P4 there. As on lap 125, he takes the plunge, and he's the first driver to go down for the green flag stop of our leaders. So Robinson may be thinking now that one driver has done it, he's going to think about it soon. He stretched out that gap to 3.6 seconds now to Kevin Stramberg, as looks like MacArthur is also going down pit road. the last-ditch racing drivers, both choosing to go down pit road. Robinson and Strandberg, your only top 4 drivers staying out so far. Will he choose to pit this lap, or will he choose to go a little bit longer on those tyres? As he does, he goes down pit road now from the lead of the race. Will it be a good stop? Will he hold this lead that he had? He had the gap.
Yeah, Strandberg's going to follow. But Ogle, who we were just talking about, he had 9-lap fresher tires and more importantly 9 laps more fuel. He's going to stay out for a little while on the number 11 machine. Now, I think Ogle, again, Ogle, Higginbotham, Hess, your new top 3, I think they're going to really hope for a caution here. Try and put some fast guys a lap down, and they are going to want to have that pit stop under yellow if they can help it, because I feel pretty safe on this one. I think if these top 3 have the pit under green, it's going to give all that work back, and we're going to see things change up once more. Now, looks like everybody on that pit stop of the previous top 4 took 4 fresh tires, and I'm not seeing any penalties or any pit times that would signify any problems on pit road. And look at this. We've got 3 drivers on the lead lap here, Finley. Lap 129, getting ready to start lap 130. It's Ogle, Higginbotham, and Hess who are off the pit strategy, and it seems to be going very, very well as Ogle briefly goes 3 wide with traffic, showing no sign of slowing down late into his run.
No, he's going to try and push this now. He has the fresher tyres. He's going to try and make sure he stretches as much time as possible to give him the best chance of keeping that position that he had before the pit stops. He's definitely going to be trying really hard now to stretch that even further, as he is now the leader. He will have the extra points for leading laps here tonight. As you said before, only 3 drivers who haven't pit, therefore 3 drivers on the lead lap at the moment, being Ogle, Higginbotham and Hess. As it looks like Ogle is letting the number 58 by of Strandberg there, letting him get his lap back as he is on those fresher tyres.
Well, that's awesome. Oh, here we go! Caution
that is the caution.
Out. Ogle
that has
may
really
have just been
helped.
saved by the bell.
Wow.
Oh my.
That seems to be the 50 machine who was caught up in that.
Oh!
He goes into the outside wall.
Yeah, that's Hinchcliffe is going to hit everything but the snack shack, bouncing off the outside, the inside wall, and that's what we were talking about. Drivers start to come out with much fresher tires, and next thing you know, it sends it bouncing around. It's a lot tougher to hold on to. That will be our 5th caution of the night. Now, something I was going to say before that happened, Strandberg in the 58 machine got 1 of his laps back. A large portion of the field was several laps down. So Ogle, Higginbotham, Hess come down pit road. I think we're going to get maybe a large portion of the drivers getting a wave around here, but I think the top 3 just got saved by the bell. They're going to come out on the lead lap, I still believe, in first, and they're going to have the freshest tires on the racetrack.
Yeah, those drivers who are a lap down that will get the wave around, they'll still get an EOL. They'll be at the back of the row. They'll be back of the line. And those top 3 will be your top 3 as it stands. So that has definitely helped them a lot. Our fast drivers of Robinson, MacArthur, for example, they're going to be right at the back of the line, and they're just going to have to make their way through the field. They're going to have to burn up their tyres, and this is going to give the perfect opportunity to those top 3 of Higginbotham, Hess and Ogle to stretch that gap and give them the best chance of winning this race. But that was definitely exactly what these drivers needed and helps them massively.
Yeah, I'm excited. We were just about through the green flag stops. Everybody except the top 3 had come down pit road, as Ogle will be coming back out on track as your race leader, going McDaniel in second, but McDaniel hasn't come down pit road yet, so I think he'll be diving down here shortly.
Yeah, there should be this last drivers, or there should be the last stops of the race here tonight if we don't have a green light checkered and drivers do choose to go down pit road with some fresh tyres. So, yeah, MacArthur, Jones, Robinson, although they are 5th, 6th and 7th, there's still a couple drivers between them, which they are going to have to make their way around. And I know I've just said this before, but they're going to be burning up their tyres a little bit more to try and get past them and not stay behind those slow drivers. And whilst they're battling behind the top three, going to be able to stretch that gap further and give the all necessary time, because obviously they don't have the pace advantage like MacArthur and Robinson do. Robinson being so quick, shown as early on in this race.
Yeah, I was shocked at how much faster Robinson was than everybody when he finally wicked back up the throttle very late into that fuel run. I was expecting him to be, I don't want to say slower, but kind of at least the same pace over the duration of that run. And it seemed like the last 10, 15 laps of his fuel run, somebody lit a fire underneath the 23 machine, and he was just ripping around the track. So I'm not sure. And also, to be fair, it looked like Ogle had a very quick pace towards the end of his run as well. So the Team Miata drivers have something figured out, and it's going to be interesting to see if this goes green. Again, that's a big if, because we've stacked the field back up, everybody on fresh tires, and that's where things can get a little bit exciting. But if this thing can go green, we've seen some late race Chargers, and I'm expecting more of the same here.
Yeah, 100%. They've shown some pace near to the end of that stint, so definitely got a chance of winning this race now, as it looks like we're going to be going one to green in just a minute here. And we're going to get going again on that 135 of 200 for the 5th caution of the night. Ogle, now your leader, followed by Higginbotham on the outside. Hess and McDaniel, your second row. And our previous leaders, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, your 3rd and 4th rows. As we only have 8 drivers on the lead lap now. Only 8 drivers out of 28 that started this race, or 25, excuse me. Only 10, or only 8 drivers remain. And it definitely says a lot for the track of Dover being quite a crash-ridden track. It's definitely not the easiest to go green all the way through. And yeah, it's definitely been a brilliant and interesting race for sure. Especially with that late caution just now, throwing in the curveball, helping out those drivers on the alternate strategy. As the pace car dives down pit road now, all eyes are on the number 11 car to get a good restart here. As he does, Higginbotham on the outside line, maybe looking to cut down if he can.
Yeah, start looks good. Tom Ogle taking and holding on to the race lead, but Higginbotham, we talked about him very early on in the show, and really haven't mentioned him much since then, but he's been extremely good on technical tracks so far this season. So it's going to be interesting to see what he's got underneath the hood. And Hess, who we thought was doing some mad lad strategies early in the 54 machine, seems like it worked out well for him. Got a lap led early on under eye-pacing conditions and now finds himself in 3rd. Let's go a little bit further back to Josh Robinson, the number 23 machine. It's Robinson, Jones, MacArthur running 5th, 6th, 7th. But as you said, they've got a few drivers, lead lap and lap down alike, that they're going to have to try and get through here. Because if Ogle and Higginbotham continue their charge towards the front and away from the rest of the field, as well as Andrew Hess, that's going to be almost impossible for the 23, the 14, and the 83 to try and gain that ground, because I think Ogle really going to push it here. He's gotten a lap led. He's got a taste of the clean air in front of him, and he wants nothing more to pick up his 2nd win of the season as well.
Yeah, eyes on that Andrew Hess though, up 18 places from where he began in the number 54 Chevrolet machine. He's having the absolute race of his life there. And yeah, as I was saying, up 18 positions. So nearly from the back of the grid, he's up into P3 now, fighting for that P2 position with Jason Higginbotham in number 44. Those top 3 have already stretched a gap of nearly 2 seconds to Greg McDaniel in the number 30 car. So they've already made that gap they need. If it's green all the way through, that's going to leave a massive job for Josh Robinson, for example, who has the pace to catch them, but will he have enough time after he gets past McDaniel to fight these guys? We have 60 laps remaining of this race. Anything could happen still.
Now, Andrew Hess has not put it on the podium since the season opener, all the way back to February 20th at Daytona, where he was able to bring home a 2nd place result. So he is hungry here tonight. He can see a podium in front of him, and most importantly, he's got an alliance with Tom Ogle, both Team Miata drivers, trying to make something happen, but don't count out Jason Higginbotham as well. Higginbotham has been very strong when he decides to run, as he's gotten 2 wins so far this season at fairly technical tracks. Higginbotham's gotten a win at Richmond. He's gotten a win at Phoenix as well. And then carrying on this statistic spewing, Tom Ogle won at Martinsville. So there's 2 drivers in the top 3 who have shown to have the results when it comes to technical racing. And then that also shows the racecraft out of Hess to be able to bring home a 2nd at Daytona to survive what I like to call the draft lottery. So this is going to be interesting, as you're right. They continue to stretch the gap over now Josh Robinson in 4th, who's 3 seconds back. But we'll keep an eye on the live timing. We're going to pull that up on the left side of your screen, ladies and gentlemen, so you can see who your favorite driver is rather quickly. Robinson, 56 laps for him to close a 3.5 second advantage that the top 3 currently have.
Yeah, the top 3 have been able to stretch that gap and use that advantage as much as they can, because they need that gap to Robinson. They know he has the pace, and they know he's in real risk, a real danger to these drivers. Hess definitely wants that podium still in that P3 spot, so he's going to do everything he can with the last couple 55 laps of this race to stay ahead of him. As he's round the bumper of Higginbotham again, maybe trying to look for a move, maybe not so early, maybe a bit more later on into the race. But he definitely wants that assurance if he's ahead. That's one more position that Robinson has to overtake to push him out of the podium spots.
I think this may be a game of 130-mile-an-hour cat and mouse. None of the top 3 drivers want to quite show their cards yet, I would think. But they got to keep that pace going, or at least for Higginbotham. Otherwise, he's going to be swarmed by 3 Team Miata drivers. Kind of already in the sandwich here as it stands. But the other thing is you don't want to show your cards, and more importantly, you don't want to use too much tire up. Because we've seen these Team Miata drivers show, hey, we've got tire savings for days. We can make some big lunges at the end of this fuel and tire run. And after that lap 132 basically reset at the field here, all of these guys are good to go till the end. Not going to have any issues on fuel, and it's going to be a tire saving game, as it looks like Hess falls off the back of Higginbotham ever so slightly, as it looks like he was trying a much wider line through 3 and 4. And I wonder if Hess is practicing some different lines here to maybe get things set up for later on when push comes to shove, if he needs to make something happen on Higginbotham.
Yeah, he's definitely going to try that high line. He's just testing it, seeing if he can get the exit he can, so he can use it if he needs to get past Higginbotham. Because if he can get that exit down the back stretch and the front stretch, that's going to give him a big advantage coming into turns 1 and 3.
Ogle not having issues out front. Really, your top 3 all running almost identical times, but behind them, Josh Robinson. We're going to pan the camera back to the 23 machine. Kind of in no man's land, but he's closing the gap to that top 3. He's got it down to 1.6 seconds off the back of Andrew Hess in the 54 machine. I think we have enough time, Finley. If this thing keeps rocking and rolling green, we could very well have a 4-car battle for the lead. Jones and MacArthur not able to get up front as quickly as they want, but I still don't know what's going to happen. There's plenty of time, I think, for still a game-changing caution as this continues charging forward. Now, it's the top 3 kind of bunched up, and then 5th through 8th kind of bunched up. That's Jones, Strandberg, McDaniel in the mix. As you see MacArthur lagging behind, he's the last driver on the lead lap. So what's the move here, Finley? If you were driving and you were kind of sitting around that top 5, knowing the top 3, let's make it the top 4 now as Robinson's joined the party. What's the move here? Do you try and push hard, or keep the tires underneath you and maybe hope and pray for a late race caution to boost you back up?
I think you want to push as hard as you can, but you don't want to be burning up those tires, because you're going to lose more time by burning them up than you are just going to gain for 10 laps. You definitely got to keep tires in the back of your head, but you're definitely thinking about the gaps, because especially if we go green all the way, if you do end up saving those tires more than the cars ahead, you're not going to have enough time to catch them again. So it's kind of a balancing game of how much do you push and how much do you save, because, you know, at the end of the day, you've got to get that decision right. It's not something that you can get a second chance at, especially when they're going to the end now. they have no more chances to fuck up their, to mess up their strategy.
Yeah, and I mean, I gotta agree with you. Robinson seems like he's one of those drivers pushing forward and doing so quickly as he's now caught the tail end of Andrew Hess. And for our viewers at home, it's one of those things, everybody trying to keep the average lap times as low as they possibly can. Not necessarily trying to go out there, hot lap, and make something happen. So here we go. This is the battle for third between two teammates. I don't think Hess is going to ride around too defensively. I think he's going to leave the door open for Robinson. Maybe some team orders in play as Robinson looks to the inside line of Hess. And that is allowing Ogle and Higginbotham to stretch their legs out front. They've got about a second advantage over Hess. I think Robinson may be stuck behind a teammate here.
Yeah, maybe Hess is trying to... I wouldn't say that he's trying to hold him back, but he definitely isn't letting him go. But thinking about Ogle now, in the back of his head, he's thinking now, is he going to use his opportunity of Hess holding him back to save as much tyre as he can for the battle with Robinson? Because he might try and use his opportunity to save as much tyres as he can, because that's the more tyres he's going to have at the end, the harder he's going to be able to push near to the end of this race. He's definitely going to need it with Robinson closing so much now. Behind Hess in that P4 position, he's right there. Anything happens, if Hess lets him by, he's going to be right there, and he's going to be a huge, huge problem for him coming maybe 10 to 20 laps down the run.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
As you say that,
I'm surprised it's how much of a breakaway Ogle and Higginbotham have.
As you say that though, Robinson's been able to get past Hess now. He's up into that third spot now. He's got that clean air in front of him to push and catch that gap between Ogle and Higginbotham. The game is on.
Yeah, Robinson, he's got about a 1.1 second gap. He's trying to close to Higginbotham. We've seen him have the pace and be able to go out there and hot lap, especially late in the run. Now, I wonder, does he have the pace? Does he have the tires to make that happen? As it's already down to a second to Higginbotham. We're going to see what the times say when they all cross the start-finish line. You see a puff of smoke there from pit road from somebody who had to retire early. And it looks to me Robinson run just over a tenth faster than the top two. And speaking of top two, Ogle and Higginbotham still linked up nose to tail, but here comes Robinson, the number 23 machine. He's worked his way back up into podium contention, and it looks like he is rapidly closing the gap on Ogle and Higginbotham.
Yeah, absolutely rapidly closing that gap now. Ogle and Higginbotham. Surely they're going to be seeing Robinson in the mirror soon, and they're going to have to be rowing. Surely they're thinking. And yeah, it's not something they can ignore now. He's a massive problem, and he will be come 5 laps time when he catches up. They're going to have to do everything they can to keep him behind. And yeah, we definitely got an interesting race to come with 37 laps remaining of this race now as we cross the line. That's 37 laps Robinson has. That's more than enough if he plays his cards right. However, he's got to be careful not to burn up the tyres too early now, so he loses that advantage later on. 1 second the gap now to the leader. 8/10 to Higginbotham. He is closing.
It looks like Hess was closing up the gap as well in the 54 machine. I think Team Auto would like nothing more to have a clean sweep here tonight. But it's going to be tough. I mean, I don't think there's going to be any team orders. I don't think Ogle can afford to back off the pace with Higginbotham in hot pursuit. Higginbotham's going to keep pressuring that number 11 machine, especially if the 44 feels as if he's better at tire saving here tonight. Trying to get your race leader to burn up some tires. He already knows Robinson behind has been pushing quite hard over the run as traffic once again hopping out of the way. That's number 46 of Ken Huff doing a great job taking that Superflow backed race car up to the high line. But that gives Ogle a bit of a breakaway from Higginbotham. Higginbotham lost a couple tenths there having to navigate traffic.
Yeah, looks like though Robinson and Hess running identical times last time by. Oh, no, excuse me, that was the best time. I'm looking at the wrong thing on the software. It looks like Robinson is running, yeah, he's pretty much running identical times to Higginbotham. 23.9 both times by. So it looks like now Ogle and Higginbotham are choosing this time to start pushing on those tyres to keep Robinson behind them.
Yeah, 33 laps left to go. It's Ogle, Higginbotham, Robinson, your top three. Hess and Strandberg rounding out the top five. One has to ask, what happened to Jones? What happened to MacArthur as they run 6th and 8th on the raceway at this point? Not winning the lottery as far as that pit cycle caution played out. And there's yet again more lap traffic for Ogle to contend with here. Looks like that's Jeff Miller in the 108, but here comes Higginbotham, takes a peek at the inside line of the number 11, and we've got a battle for the lead as we've got a rookie down on the wall. Oh my goodness, if that's not the last thing the leaders want to see, I don't know what is.
Yeah, especially with that gap. They don't want that caution because then Robinson's going to be right on their bumper straight away. They have no buffer time. As I say though, Robinson now 3/10 to Higginbotham. That gap is closing quickly, and they know that he's right behind. What are they going to do? Is Higginbotham going to try and make another move and just use Ogle as a little bit of another barrier, another layer for Robinson to cross before he gets to him? Because at this point, these drivers may be getting desperate. They want to hold that position. They don't want to let Robinson pass because they know as soon as he goes, he's gone.
Yeah, I agree. And that's right as you say it, Higginbotham once again to the inside line next to Ogle. But the number 11, the 44, Ogle and Higginbotham punching a massive hole in the air. And that's going to allow Robinson to close the gap even more so. 29 laps left to go here at Dover. And I think it's anybody's guess what's going to happen inside the top three. Ogle has the pace. Higginbotham has the courage to throw it in there. But he doesn't want to use up too much tires. I don't know who's used up the most tires. Robinson's charged through the field. Higginbotham throwing huge sliders up the inside line. And Ogle in the White Claw Seltzer back number 11, just clicking off laps out front, nice and easy, kind of running his own race and taking a peek in the rearview mirror. So Ogle may be in a good spot here, especially if him and Robinson, the two teammates, start working together. It's going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, it's going to be a very exciting one. It looks like Robinson's going to have a look down the inside of Higginbotham into turn 1. As we come out of turn 2, they're still on the inside. Robinson has the advantage coming into turn 3. Will he be able to get past? Will Higginbotham hold the line? It looks like he's ahead. So it looks like Higginbotham is able to hold the position on the outside.
Now, we saw this earlier. I don't remember if it was Higginbotham and Robinson or two other drivers, but the outside line or maybe the middle line seemed fairly quick, able to keep a little bit more momentum, but I think you touched on it as well. I wonder if they're using up a little bit more tire, trying to carry more speed on that outside line, and now that Higginbotham has had his pressure from behind, he's going to get back up there and put it on Ogle, I think. He's knowing, all right, the race pace is set. Let's get things going. The last thing I'm going to do is lose a position. If anything, I'm going to try and gain a spot here as Ogle stays glued to that middle line, carrying a whole lot of speed out of the exit through 2 and 4. And this is going to be something down the end. Who's going to have the tires here, and who's going to use the old chrome horn to make something happen?
We've got 25 laps to go on the line now. Robinson has 25 laps to get past Ogle and Higginbotham. So far, they were able to do a good job keeping him behind. But will it stand? That's still 25 laps they have to hold it. As Higginbotham makes another look down the inside. A little bit too far back to make the move though. But here comes Robinson on the inside line. He has the run. He has the inside line this time around. Will Higginbotham be able to hold it on the outside line and get the exit? No, whoa. I don't think so. That's Robinson up into the second spot now. Only one driver to go.
Yeah, Robinson right behind his teammate Ogle. Now I'm surprised to see the big inside pass from Robinson after we saw the last few laps showing how dominant the high line could be, but Robinson not willing to settle for second, throws it up the inside line next to his teammate Ogle. Higginbotham trying to follow the number 23 in there, and it looks like Ogle all sorts out of shape. And Ogle, oh, that's not what he's looking for, from first to third rather quickly as Robinson's taking over the race lead. Higginbotham second, Ogle third, Hess and Strandberg round out the top 5. With 22 laps left to go, are we going to see the short track pro Higginbotham maybe try and get back up there and keep the pressure on Robinson? Oh, this is going to be something.
He's right on the bumper. Robinson isn't stretching the same gap that we were seeing before with MacArthur, excuse me. So Higginbotham is just sticking in behind. Don't know if he's burning up more tyres by doing this, but we're 21 laps to go now. Will he be able to hold that gap and make a move back again? Is he staying within the 2/10 range? He has that. He's just staying in that hole, being punched by the 23 car in front of him, and just staying in there. He's going to try and stay in there as long as he can. He's just got to hope for a mistake or traffic to become a factor, because at this point he isn't really going to get past very easily with nothing else happening. But if a lap car slows us or gets in the way of him, or another thing happens like an incident or a caution, or Robinson loses a little bit on exit, it could be, yeah, he's just looking for any kind of mistake now. He just needs something to help him overtake him again, because he's sticking in that gap. He just needs something to happen and he'll have the position, or at least challenge.
Yeah, and lap traffic may come into play here as well. Robinson is slicing through. Higginbotham doing a great job staying right there with the number 23 machine, keeping it at a 2/10 advantage in Robinson's favor. Robinson up 7 spots after a rough qualifying. Andrew Hess, though, our hard charger out on track, he's up 17 spots. They're running a very strong 4th here, a great points paying spot. And I think the championship could really get shaken up here as MacArthur, your points leader, riding around in 7th. He's kind of in no man's land. And Robinson has, I think, the most to gain here in the 23 machine. Looking for that second win of the season, looking to either close the gap at least to MacArthur, that 40-point advantage that MacArthur has. If not, outright take over the points lead. But Higginbotham, kind of a dark horse here at the Metro Ford Cup Series, runs a limited schedule, shows up every now and then, either does really well and brings home a win, or crashes out kind of early. And so far, it doesn't look like he's crashed out early to me.
Oh, we could definitely see him play a factor later on. The gap stretching back just a little bit further now. 3/10 it is with 16 laps to go. However, though, looking back at that points advantage that MacArthur has over Robinson, being all the way back in P7 now, that's going to really hurt him in the championship. He's not going to, he's going to lose any kind of advantage he has to Robinson. I think it's going to be really, really close. Whether or not the Robinson gets past him in the points, it's definitely going to have to be a close one. And Robinson is going to close that gap of 40 points. With 15 laps to go, Higginbotham is right back again to Robinson. He's right on the bumper. Did Robinson burn up too much tyres? Getting past the 2 drivers in front of him, of Ogle and Higginbotham. Maybe he's trying to burn them up too much and he can't stretch that gap. As I said before, Higginbotham just looking for anything, a lap car, a mistake, anything to just help him get past Robinson again, or throw up a challenge. 13 laps to go to the lines. We go into turn 3, we have another lap car in front. Anything can happen here. There's definitely, I can feel something happening. Something's going to happen.
Yeah, 3/10 advantage to Robinson. Will Higginbotham be able to close that gap? And again, I think Higginbotham, one of those type of drivers we have here that wants nothing more for the win, but will Robinson keep kind of dangling that carrot in front of the number 44 machine? But just as I say that, it looks like Higginbotham gained about 1/10 of a second coming into 3 and 4, so he may still have some tires in reserve as far as the traction he's able to put down, as Robinson really had to work extremely hard at the beginning of this fuel run to get up there past everybody. And this could be a 2-car rodeo at the end, as Robinson and Higginbotham 1.6 seconds up over Tom Ogle. And it looks like Ogle losing some ground as well to his teammate Andrew Hess in 4th. We may have a couple different battles develop, a battle for 1st and a battle for 3rd. And the remaining, let's call it about 10 laps as they get ready to cross the start and finish line. And man, Higginbotham right there with Robinson. We're deep into this run, just about 1/10 of a second separating the two. And I think it's interesting as well, Higginbotham not necessarily following Robinson through the corners here, trying to get a little bit of clean air on the front. I think that could help with his tire management. And that's still going to keep him within striking distance as the laps click off.
Yeah, it looks like Higginbotham was able to save those tyres whilst he was battling with Ogle, and Robinson isn't able to stretch that gap. Still 2/10 the gap with 10 laps to go.
Now with those 10 laps left to go, I was going to say, When will we see Higginbotham taking a move? And now is the answer. He's once again looking at the inside line. Now, we haven't seen Higginbotham, I don't think, make any inside line passes. Robinson was able to do that, but may have used up a whole lot of tires in the process. So what's the move going to be here from Higginbotham? It seems like the inside line, not the place to pass for the majority of the drivers. It seems like Higginbotham historically was able to use that high line and carry a little bit more speed, but the 23 machine blocking the path on exit, not able to get the drive as Higginbotham has a bit of a moment coming out of turn 2. I don't know what he's going to have to do here. He's going to, he keeps trying the inside line. That's not coming to fruition. The outside line currently occupied by the 23. I think, Finley, that only leaves one option, when we get to the final laps.
Yeah, he's got to go down the inside. He's got to use that opportunity. He's got to get a good exit coming out of either turn 2 or 4 to just probe down the inside and hopefully make it stick. However, Robinson knows that the outside line's got a really good run. So as long as he holds it and gets good traction out of the corners, he will be able to hold that position. Higginbotham still 2 tenths behind. 6 laps to go now. Will number 44 be able to take the 23 and get his second win of the season?
It almost looks like to me Higginbotham trying a couple of jabs at Robinson. I don't know if he's showing his hand yet. I think he's kind of taking note on where he feels he's faster. And as we're 5 laps left to go, I think now's the time we may see that 44 machine strike. He wants to make that pass with plenty of time to maybe have another go at it if he makes a mistake, but also doesn't want to do it too early to give Robinson a chance to maybe capitalize on one of Higginbotham's mistakes. This is a final Fury battle for the race win as Robinson and Higginbotham stay linked up nose to tail. They're 2.5 seconds over Ogle, who's running a very solid third here. And man, what a night. 4 laps left to go, and I wonder, does Higginbotham have the tires to make a final shot at this?
Yeah, I think he has saved, and now is the time to use it. 4 laps to go. He's still 2 tenths behind, right on the bumper of the number 23 of Robinson. Now is the time to make that move. Will he be able to make it done? He has 3 laps to do it now. 3 laps to go here in the Metro 4 Cup Series here at Dover tonight. Will he be able to overtake, or will he just Robinson be able to hold off the position and take the win? Coming out of turn 4 now, it looks like they're running equal lines. Higginbotham still can't get any closer. 2 laps to go. As it looks like Higginbotham's able to gain a little bit there. 1.5 tenths the gap coming down the backstretch. He's going to have a massive suck. 1 tenth the gap now coming into turn 3. With 1 lap to go now. This is the time, Higginbotham. Come on, you can do it.
Are we going to see the front bumper come into play as the white flag is out here at the Metro Ford Cup Series? It's Robinson up front. Higginbotham in hot pursuit. They make their way through 1 and 2 at Dover for the final time down the backstretch. Robinson pulls a pretty healthy gap. 2 tenths ahead of Higginbotham. Higginbotham has one final shot at the back of the 23, and he's not going to be able to get it. It's going to be Robinson at the line, 1/4 of a second ahead of Higginbotham, and Tom Ogle's going to finish 3rd here for the Team Yada drivers.
What an absolutely brilliant race for that first spot. However, Ogle coming home in P3. Hess coming home in P4, Strandberg. They're rounding out your top 5 here tonight. MacArthur, our championship leader, coming home in P7 now. That's going to really hurt him in that championship. Robinson, currently 2nd in the championship, getting all the points, closing that all-important point gap. This is going to have to be interesting how that stands out, or how that changes the standings. As our top 3 now stopping.
Gotta do the podium pictures.
Gotta do the podium pictures.
Yeah, Robinson, well done. Charging up through the field, up 7 spots. Higginbotham, a great race. Started 2nd, finished 2nd. And Ogle finishing up 2 spots as well. But Andrew Hess in the 54 machine up 17 positions. What a great night for him as well. But right now, the man of the hour, Josh Robinson, gonna burn it down for the fans here at Dover. Picking up his 2nd win of the season. Never mind the wall there, Josh. Maybe had some cheater arrow on there and had to get rid of the evidence very quickly.
Yeah. As he's now doing his burnouts now, burning out the rest of the good years that he has left. in celebration. Absolutely brilliant win from him, coming home up 7 spots from where he qualified. Looks like that qualifying, or the bad qualifying that he had, didn't end up stopping him, and it was an absolutely brilliant race from him. Well done, Josh. You deserve it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch these guys out here tonight. Waiting for our top three to get up here into the waiting room. Waiting on Ogle, Higginbotham, and Robinson to make their way up. And it looks like we're getting ready to get this party started. Let's get everything queued up here on my end. Up first, we've got Tom Liberace Ogle join us, bringing home a third in the number 11. Tom, what a wild night. It looks like pit strategy kind of played into things unexpectedly towards the end.
Yeah, I knew I didn't have anything. Well, I knew I had put myself in a big hole to dig out of to catch those guys, and I kind of burnt my tires coming up. I got a speeding on pit road like a dummy, and I kind of burnt my stuff up. So after 4 or 5 laps, my bed was made, so I was just going to ride and try to long pit and hope for the best. I kind of hit the lottery when the caution came out, and then I found the line too late where you roll it in and let it slide up off the bottom. Too late, so those guys got by me, and then Josh and I had a little contact, and there's my day.
Finley, you got anything for Tom?
Oh yeah, obviously that pit strategy coming in quite clutch. Yeah, the other guys who were the top 3 before falling all the way down to P7 or out of that top 5. That battle towards the end, though, what was your view on it? I know you're 3 seconds behind, but it was definitely a really, really close battle. Yeah.
Yeah, I had kind of burnt my stuff up bleeding, so I was hoping, that they maybe get together like Josh and I did, and they give it back to me. But it was close, and both those guys race really clean. Hickey is a really good racer, and he did a great job saving his tires all day. So I thought maybe he had something for him there at the end.
Well, Tom, good seeing you guys and the rest of the Team Miata Hooligans running first and third out here tonight, continuing your plan for world domination, if not the Metro Ford Cup Series domination. And who would you want to give a shout out to, my friend? Friends, family, sponsors that helped you get up here inside the top 3.
Well, the guys running the league, they do a great job, the admins and stuff. My teammates for helping me there. And Eddie Jones for giving me that spot late in the race.
Well said, Tom. Always a pleasure, my friend, and good time talking
Thanks.
to you.
Thanks, James.
Sure.
Thanks, Finley. Have a good day.
You too.
That was Tom Ogle bringing it home. And third up next, we've got Jason Hickey Higginbotham. Great run out there, my friend. You don't race often. When you do, it's becoming more and more common to talk to you up here in the top 3.
Well, James, yeah, you know how it is. I'm pick and choose. I pick and choose. If I don't feel like I can get in here without wrecking the field, I like to stay in. But if I'm uncomfortable at a track, I won't get in here and wreck nobody.
Okay, so obviously that battle towards the end, right down to the wire, through to the final lap. What was your point of view on that battle towards the end?
Man, Finley, with me and Tom, having such a big lead, I thought for sure Josh's tires would be wore out. Even letting him lead there, I thought for sure his tires were wore out and I'd be able to get a little run on him. But I couldn't. You get pinched down on the bottom and you got so much more momentum coming up off of turns that even on older tires or a little bit more wore out tires, you still got the momentum going down straightaway. I just couldn't set him up for a pass.
Now, Jason, I guess that kind of leads into my final question. It seemed like it was very rare we saw that inside line pass work out for anybody. Was that just kind of a combination of tires meeting that line of momentum, or what was it that made it so tough? And because normally that's the place to be, throw it in deep on the inside line, charge out, but not the case here at Dover.
Well, I tell you, it still goes back to the league you're running because this league right here, there's not much dirty driving at all. It's so much clean driving. You could drive it down low and then swing up and slide job somebody, but it's not done in this league. So if it's not done to you, I'm not going to do it to nobody else. This league's one of the funnest leagues to race. I've been in some leagues where the bottom will work. You just gonna have to slide it up in front of somebody else.
Well, hey man, great job out here tonight, Jason. Always a pleasure pleasure talking to you when we get the opportunity. Who do you want to give a shout out to? Friends, family, sponsors that helped you bring home the second tonight.
Thank you, James. I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. I want to give a sponsor shout out to Metro Ford, VLS Racing, Victor Lane. I got to give a shout out to Kim Bowl, and then all my sponsors, Hickey South Power and Powerhouse Racing, man.
Awesome. Great time talking to you as always, Jason, and congratulations again to getting back up here in the top three.
Thank you, guys. Y'all enjoy y'all's day.
Well, sir.
Yeah.
That was Jason Higginbotham bringing home the second, but now the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Robinson, number 23 machine, picking up your second win of the 2022 season.
How's it going, James?
Well, sir, it was a lot of fun. It looks like you had the tire wear kind of managed tonight, and up 7 spots, and more importantly, finishing the top spot. What more can you ask for?
Yeah, it seemed to go well for me. Tire wear was it didn't seem to fall off for me tonight like it does at most tracks.
Yeah. Also, though, the battle towards the end, we have to talk about that. Already had a quick chat to Hickey about it. What was your plan coming into the final couple laps?
Just do my best to hold him off. I knew he maybe had a little bit fresher tires. I seen him hanging out in the back, and I assumed he was letting them cool off a bit. It is really tough to pass on old tires here, so I knew if I could just maintain that line and keep him from getting too many runs, that'd be okay.
Now, Josh, I've watched you guys run together for years. We've seen some great racing amongst everybody. Were you worried at all that the old bump and run was going to come into play here at Dover towards the end?
Not really. All these guys run really clean, so that would be really abnormal. Actually, probably the only bumper run was through contact I had with Tom.
Classic Ogle. Well, Josh, a great time talking to you, man. I know it's been kind of a slow lead up this season to get that number 23 out front as consistently as you would like, but starting to see the strategy come together midway through the season. Always a great time, and you've got the privilege, the pleasure, my friend, the final send-offs of the evening. Who do you want to give a shout to help you get up here today?
Shout out to my team, Tom and Andrew. We were bouncing some pitch strategy off early in the run, and then to the sponsors, Metro Ford, VLS, and Kimball. Without those guys, they help keep the broadcast going and the servers up. And then shout out to the admins, especially Dwayne. They've been putting a lot of work in lately, and without them, we're not here.
Awesome, Josh. Well said as always. We look forward to having you back up here in the near future, and congratulations again on a big win here tonight.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Finley. Have a good day.
You as well, sir.
You too.
Well, Finley, that's going to cap it off here for the Metro Ford Cup Series, the Old Bastards Racing League, putting on a show at Dover. What was your impressions your first time helping to call the action?
I love the clean racing. Obviously, Dover not being the cleanest of tracks, so we did expect more cautions coming into it, but it was an absolutely brilliant race, and I'm sure every other race the remainder of the season will be as interesting as that. A battle towards the end as well. Because of that clean racing, the drivers were able to push so hard, and it was just a brilliant one to watch, and I definitely enjoyed that one.
Excellent. Very well said. Good having you up here in the booth as we have the race results pulled up. It's Robinson, Higginbotham, Ogle. Your top 3 after 200 laps. As always, on behalf of Metro Ford, BLS, as well as Kimball.net, my name is James East, accompanied by Finley Fitzsimmons for Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending a Sunday afternoon with us, and we will see you same time, same place next week. Have a great day, everybody.